deconstruction is initially no more than an act of the most thorough semantic secularization, semiological materialism in action. One could describe the deconstructionist method as a guide to returning the churches and castles of the metaphysical immortalist, ancien regime, to the mortal citizens. The strange thing about the approach, however, is that Derrida, to continue the architectural imagery, does not believe in the power of modernity's exponents to create authentic new buildings. As his conversations with Peter Eisenman and the Viennese architectural group Group Himmelblau show fairly unambiguously, he always remained distant from the world of modern architecture and used such terms as constructing, deconstructing, purely metaphorically, without ever developing a material connection to the practice of building truly contemporary, that is, demystified edifices free of historical baggage. He apparently had the same tendency, symbolically speaking, as people who are condemned always to live in old houses, or even haunted castles, even if they think they are residing in the neutral buildings of the present. For him, it is clear that, even in the quarters of modern people, the undead from the otherworldly era walk in and out, just as the one god from Egypt never stopped casting his shadow across the huts of the post-Mosaic Jews.
We begin to see the double truth, which, obvious. Derrida constantly to strive for display the fact. There is always the double truth. But also here, Sloterdijk gets a little specific. That Derrida used the word deconstruction, but that does not apply to any architectural realm. As if from the word deconstruction, the common view, we look at this word, we think deconstruction refers construction and deconstruction. But Derrida has no intention to get involved with this idea of construction. It's not a construction build a house or any construction of structures. That's not Derrida's intention. And of course, people probably always ask the same question. So how come deconstruction is not related to any way to construction as building structures? So if we talk about a construction, then we deconstruct, and things seems to be more reasonable, makes more sense to us. But in Derrida's view, it's not really a linguistic choice. Rather, it's a philosophical choice. So in a way, as if Derrida is making up another word, scholars like to say, coin another word, as he already did, différence. Now comes a word that everybody can read, can understand, but he says, no, that's not what I mean. Deconstruction has nothing to do with the buildings and the structures. So in a sense, I think it is more powerful, and it also makes more sense that to use the word deconstruction in philosophy and ideology, rather than in a practical sense of structural phenomena. Seems to be too easy. Deconstruction, let's take down this house, build a new one. Rather, we will deconstruct some of the philosophical ideas. So the truth is, you can't deconstruct anything abstract. And you can't reconstruct anything abstract either, because it's abstraction. Well, that's the point. That's why you need a philosophy. That's what a philosophy does, deals with abstract things. So to make things even more interesting, Derrida talks about ghost. Actually, he used the word specter. He talks about the idea of specter. Specter in the philosophy, his famous book, Marx is a Specter. It's a very big deal, and it's very interesting too. He talks about the people live in the old house being haunted. Life and death, rebirth, and all that ties into ghost, the idea of ghost. As we're reading the current book, Truth in Painting, and we just read that part. He talks about the German idea of Geist, spirit, and the English idea, Geist. The whole idea here is whether it's a Geist as spirit or specter as ghost, is talking about the abstract side of our life. So we constantly talking about the metaphysics. But as we get into the metaphysics, we begin to talk about abstract philosophical ideas. As if, in a sense, we begin to talk about mathematical language, because mathematical language or mathematics belongs to part of the metaphysics too. But obviously, that's not what Derrida tries to go. And he wants to talk about a ghost. He wants to talk about a specter. He wants to talk about the other side, the more abstract idea that relate to metaphysics. And that's why he used the word deconstruction, not to the architectural construction, rather to the metaphysic and the philosophic construction.